Hey everybody, tonight we're going to be talking about the DJG mechanical slider. This, if you recall, is the mechanical version. A few weeks ago I had ordered this, but instead received a 3-level magnetic version, which had the built-in tuning fork. But this is what I really wanted, so I'm really happy with it. The price point is really nice. It really beats out some other things in the same price range, and even, well, it just does a much better job. So please stick around. We will talk about all of these that you see above here. I'll sell the available materials that I could find, although not all of them are in stock right now. But yeah, stick around. We're going to do the usual. Take it apart, measure it, weigh it, compare it, and just have a good time. Okay, so a little bit about where I got this. I got this from a less than desirable store, and I'd rather not give you the link to that. So we could try a new place because they're available again. I also have a question out to Inswork because they had them in stock, then suddenly they didn't have them in stock, and again, they're the ones that sent me this thing when I ordered this, which is funny because that's actually a lot more expensive than this, and I had to send it back. But I kept asking them if they had them in stock, and they said no. I asked them one more time again tonight. It's been a few weeks. We'll see what they say. But Insworks did have them in stock. Marcia Linda does have a few in stock. And the other place I found is a store that I have yet to buy from. Well, not necessarily. I just bought from them, called Valyrian store. And that is the link I'm going to provide in the comments. The Valyrian store had the best pricing for all of these, and it's also it looked reasonable when I looked at some of their other products and their pricing. So if you want to wait, you can wait and check the comments back here within about 2 weeks or so. Hopefully not more than that. I ordered the PEI one from this Valyrian store, and I can tell you how long it took to get here and what condition it arrived in, or whether it never came at all. So I can tell you at least then if I had a good deal with that store. If you're willing to wait, I will come back and update the comments. That is where I got it from, and where I think we should get it from, potentially. All right. Just to generally go over this, it's sort of a multi-track slider. You've got 4 options there. These 2 outside tracks are the same, and the 2 inside tracks are the same. I'd probably choose one or the other of those 2 options. You can mix them up if you want, but you're going to get mixed results. One of the things we're going to do at the very end is, right now there are only 2 springs and 2 balls using these inner dense tracks. And what we're going to do is try out just the outer tracks by themselves, because you can see there's fewer detents, there'll be fewer clicks. Then we'll also try it with all 4 of them in, and then as a finale, I'm probably going to put all POM balls in, the plastic balls in, to see how that brings it down in volume and in overall performance. But that's what I tend to like to do with these, although I'm really happy with this right the way it came in the door, which is not very often with mechanical pieces. And there's actually a mix of springs in here right now, but we'll go into that in a minute. We're going to take it apart, compare it to a few things, what came in the box, all that fun stuff. Let's go ahead and talk about what came in the box. So we have here a tin with a plastic interior. That is the plastic shrink wrap that came in, and that's all that was in there. You might say, well, that's not a lot. I'll give this to you in case you want to scan it. Focus it. I didn't get much out of that as far as translations go. If we find a better name for this later, we'll call it that. Now this came separately, presumably because it doesn't fit in that box there. Let's see what's in here. A length of paracord, 550 paracord, then some springs and balls. That's awesome. Extra screws. There's 2 different types of extra screws in here. 4 stainless steel balls, I believe 4 long springs, and then in this smaller bag we've got 2 black ceramic balls and then 4 shorter springs. And I'll show you what that's all about in a minute. Here they give you a complimentary T8, I believe. Yes, a T8 driver. So all that and this came in the box. Okie dokie. Well, I'm hoping to get through this quickly, but we have a lot to cover. Let's get weights, measurements, comparisons, and stuff out of the way, and we will move on from there. First comparison would be the Ding Ding slider, or the stainless steel Ding Ding slider that I'd gotten from Inswork a while ago. We're going to come back to this. It makes for a good comparison. There's similar pricing, even this more expensive actually in most cases, but this offers so much more. Very close in size. Get through these here. Now we'll do 2 of the popular ones, the Mackie CP3 the Top B Metal Toys DZ, similar in size and shape, the Pig Nose slider, YEDC I believe. And lastly, I figured some of you have the S Nano that was similar size as well. Let's get weights and measurements out of the way. When it's closed, we're at 47 millimeters by 25 millimeters by 12 millimeters. Now, weight-wise, let's get everything lined up here. There are no magnets in this, so it won't affect the scale. About 81 grams. Again, that's stainless steel. Okay, well from that point, let's just quickly, before we take it apart, let us talk about these other models that I showed at the beginning of the show tonight here. These are the different varieties that you can get it in. You can get it in PEI, stainless steel, titanium, black acrylic, or white acrylic. Now, pricing generally goes like this. PEI, anywhere from 24 to 30. Stainless steel, I don't know if I'm even pointing at them correctly, but in order, I do have them in order, I believe. PEI, 24 to 30. Stainless steel, 30 to 40. Titanium, 35 to 55. Black acrylic, 30, if you can find it. And white acrylic, 30 to 38. So get those out of the way, and like I said, those are, I wanted to mention all the different varieties that there are. A quick way to tell the 2 metal ones apart is that the stainless steel one like this has a brass inlay on both sides, which I really like that. I mean, this is a really nice, well-made, good-looking slider. I just hope that doesn't end up popping out. It's probably just glued in. But anyhow, the stainless steel version, there's stainless steel and titanium. It'd be hard to tell them apart, except that's brass on the stainless steel one, and it is copper on the titanium one. I'll show that one briefly. Last thing to mention before I take them apart is I thought this was so kind of similar. It reminded me the most of the Ding Ding sliders, which, you know, you could also, at one point in time, you could buy both of these at Inswork. They still have 9-hand, these are called 9-hand sliders now. And they have these in a variety of materials, but they're priced about the same price range as these, and these are kind of primitive now, looking at them in comparison to this. This offers you so many different texture, mods that you can do. There is a interesting little place to put a lanyard here. and I'll show you that better when we take it apart. You can actually get 550 paracord gutted or not gutted through that. But for me, like I like to use my little clips I always talk about, I have found a way to rig up a special little what would you call it? A swivel of sorts that fits in there. On this one, of course, I can just, whoops, plop that in there pretty good. But yeah, for the same price range, I would say Ding Dings are a little bit out of date, and could use a lowering of the price, because this is much better for a much lower price. Alrighty, from this point, I think we are ready to do some taking apart. Hope you're still here. Okay, now let's take this puppy apart. We're going to be using a T8 bit. It's nice to see some Torx screws being used. It's a much higher class screw, I think, for something of such a technical nature. It should look good too. Alright, I usually have been leaning towards the general rule that if you look at these from the side and you see the general shape of a T here in the middle, then you make that T stand up straight, and if you lift off the top, then generally things won't go flying. So the springs and balls are on this side. A little hard to see. I'll show you in detail here in a second. Get some things organized here. Here we have a short spring. Here we have a long spring. And what they did was put a short spring here and a long spring here, which only operates on these two inside tracks of detents. And that gives it a nice medium feel. What I won't waste time doing is showing you what it's like to put two of the large springs. Like I said, it came with a small spring here and a longer spring here. I tried it with two long springs here and here, and it worked. It just worked a little bit tighter. So if you think it's too loose, you could try that. Let's just go over general construction here. There's a little loose pin you don't want to lose. There is an extra pin. You don't want to lose that. And then now this is held in place by a limiting mechanism. And it's a kind of a funny thing because it looks like a screw. It is a screw, in fact. But when you try to unscrew it, and I'm using a 1/16 bit because it's an Allen screw, when you try to unscrew that, it just sits and spins. You try to screw it forward, it just sits and spins. And I pondered that for a few minutes and then realized if I pulled on it the right way, I could just pull it straight out because it's not threaded at all. They used a screw, a machine screw, as a pin. So now this comes apart. I can show you in a little bit more detail. Get this in focus. So here's this little screw they're using as a pin. It just drops right down. There's a countersink so that the head of this screw lies flush, but it just drops down in there. There's no threads in the hole, and then the bottom of the screw sticks out, and that runs up and down this limiting slot. And when the head of that screw, the bottom of that screw hits here, that stops it from flying out. But I just thought that was funny to be able to pull that out sort of by accident. I was trying to screw it and just wondering what in the world did they do. And if you just sort of cock your screwdriver at a little bit of an angle, it works better if I maybe do it this way. Cock it at a little bit of an angle and you can pull it out. A magnet might work too, if you don't want to do anything like that. But that's the story behind that. And actually, we could put that back in at this point, but let's just move on from here. Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to put that screw back in. All you got to do is drop it down in that hole and make sure that the head's flush. Push it in a little bit. You don't have to worry about that now. When it's in there, it'll be held flush by this surface pressing against it slightly. So, first thing you want to do is make sure that your lanyard sides are together. I had a bit of a restart with my filming here, but there's your pin for the lanyard, and I'm going to be putting it into the side without the Teflon. In fact, we're going to be working on this side and then taking this part, flipping it over and putting it down on top. Okay, so you've heard it with two springs here in the middle. One was short, one was long. You'll have to trust me when I say if you use two long springs, you'll get more of a dent, a little bit of stronger of a sensation there. But I liked it the way it came. That was pretty good. What we're going to try now is just these two outsides. And what I found worked best were the smaller screws. These are probably, the longer ones are probably 4mm, and the shorter ones are probably 3mm. But the springs and the balls are all 3mm diameter. So let's drop one of these in here. Like I said, I was about to say, if I didn't say it, if you put the long springs on these outside ones, it gets really, really hard to push. Maybe that's your preference. It's not mine. Let's do this. Oops. And this. And then you can hold this out if you like. I think that helps. I did discover that after taking this apart several times. And you can line them up like this and just put it on there as best you can. But since there's a little tiny pin here, doing this helps visually, because you can look down through this hole and line it up with the hole that the screw goes into. And also keep an eye on the side where this pin needs to go into a tiny little hole here in the Teflon. So I'm just going to bring that out. Try to bring it, you can bring it straight down in and use your fingertips to line it up with the edges over here. Again, I'm lining up that hole with that hole and just coming straight down. And once you think you're in place, look at it from the side like this. Looks like the pin's in there to me. If I pick it up, both sides are nice and flush. Give it a little test. Seems to work pretty good. Let's drop some screws in there quick and we'll give it a run. And with these screws, you only need to snug them in. When they are tightened in, I notice they're tightening up right against the Teflon. They do not bottom out on the metal, so don't over tighten it. Once it's there, just snug it in real lightly. Okay, this is with the outside detents only. 4 clicks either way. Yeah, that's pretty satisfying. Okay, let's try the other. Let's try the other option. Okay, now we're going to try all 4, just so you can see what it's like. And that means I'll be putting the taller springs in the middle here. There's a little countersink for them to sit in. And then I forgot to get out extra balls. I have to get out extra balls. Whoops. Whoops. Now I got all 4 balls and springs in. Now I'm going to carefully put this on again. Again, I'll extend this out so I can line up that hole with this hole visually as I come down, which I'm not really doing right now because I'm on camera. Let me see if I can turn this sideways without knocking those off. Look at that, nerves of steel. Okay, now let's do this. I already knocked one off. Knocked one over too. Okay. Feels like everything came together. Those are flush. Those sides are flush. Ooh, ooh. A little bit of a snap there, but I don't feel anything wrong, so I think we're okay. Otherwise, I might take it apart and investigate, but I think we're okay. Let's go ahead and try this out quick. Okay, this is all 4 balls. It's definitely gotten stiffer, gotten harder to move. It's almost impossible to give you a count on the clicks there. I know when it's only 2 pieces in that it is, so it's either 9 or 11. I apologize. This is my first time taking it apart this evening. I have used it for a few days, but I did not pay attention to that ahead of time. Yeah, it's either 9 or 11 clicks. It's not 10. And that would be in both directions. I'm not fond of this. This is too much going on for me. Maybe if you had the POM balls in all 4 places, but I'm also thinking that's not going to be for me. What we'll do next is try the POM balls in the 2 internal slots. That would be the most likely destination for this thing in my possession. All right, one last thing and we'll call it a night. Let's just get out 2 of these 3mm POM plastic balls and get rid of the 4 stainless steel balls that are in here. Okay. There we go. I'm just going to dump these guys out. All right, the steel pin stayed in place, so we didn't lose that. Again, keep in mind your lanyard holes have to line up. You know what else we're going to do at the same time is to demonstrate what I did for my lanyard hole option. Before we go adding these 2 plastic balls here, let's just talk about that for a second. So it came with, I did put it away already, a big wad of 550 paracord. And I thought, well, that seems pretty thick to go in here. But if you look, there's a bit of a gap here and here. When you put those 2 together, that's fairly thick. And I tried it out here. I can demonstrate for you with this is gutted paracord. If you're not familiar, when people say gutted paracord, what they're talking about is these inner strands. They can be pulled out from this outer sleeve, and that makes this a lot thinner and a lot more flexible and a lot more likely to fit into a tight space like this. On this thing, I used the paracord with the guts in it because it was a knot that kind of needed that extra mass. But yeah, if your paracord's too tight, you can always try gutting it. But here is a gutted piece, and what you would do is put it in here, put your pin in place, put your paracord in, and then hold it down. And you have your springs and everything set up with your balls very carefully. You'd have to go about the process of putting it on, and then you're on. And everything is fitting pretty well. And with the gutted paracord, you actually have a little bit of slack, so you can actually move it around. Now, just for demonstration purposes, I will put in or I'll show you what it's like to try to put in a paracord that's not gutted. It works. It works. It's just a little bit tighter. And then I'm going to show you finally what my option is, because I want to use my clip. So here is the non-gutted paracord. I just take this, get it around there as tight as you can, push down and hold it down. It's going to want to make this tilt up, which is going to be a pain for you when you're trying to balance your springs and balls. So you'll figure that out yourself, I guess. Again, line up the pendant notches and then put her together. And you can see it does fit, but it's not nearly as loose as the gutted paracord. All right, so there's your demonstration for that. I wanted you to see that because I know most of you aren't going to go the option that I'm going to go with. But what I first thought I could do was find a little split ring, a little metal ring like a key ring. I have some small ones down to like 3mm, but even that's not big enough to get around this pin and around this outer edge and then have enough of it stick out for me to put this clip onto. It's just too small of an area. So I looked in my collection of keychain bits and pieces. I always keep little extra keychain pieces, even off garbage keychains when they come, because I know someday I might have a use for them, and tonight I do. This black one is the one I'm going to use, and it stands out the best. If you look at that, it's just a cheap swivel. And what that allows me to do is there's two ends to this. One side has a pin sticking out, that's this side. That's what they attach to, the pivot point in the middle. And this side's nice and wide and open. I want that wide open side to stick out. I want that to be the side that I use. So we're going to take the part that has less room on it, lay it down on that pin, and then, this is a lot easier without the paracord, you would have your springs and balls balanced on there however you like, and then go through the same operation where you just drop this straight down on it, make sure everything's lined up, and now you'll see I have a little place to attach my lanyard clips, which we'll do, and when we put this together for the last time, which is what we're about to do. All right, like I said, I'm going to focus on just the two inside tracks because that's the texture that I prefer, and for those I need the longer springs. I could have prepared a little bit better and had those ready, but here they are. There's the two longer ones. They need to be standing on end. Then we'll go with the nylon balls. Not nylon, sorry, POM. Different stuff. Remember, over here's our clip. That sits down in there nicely. Now I have to be careful because I got the springs and balls. It's hard to do from looking at the side. I think I'm close. Okay, what was holding me up was that little lanyard pin. Didn't want to go up in the hole, but as soon as I moved that Teflon piece, it popped up in there. Okay, we're in business. The sides are flush, everything's put together nice. I could put the screws back in. Ooh, I think that's nice. I just got my first little sensation of the plastic D10 balls there. So this usually, the plastic balls really usually quiet and make a slider a little more quiet, a little less offensive, softer. So here it is with my clip attached, and now I have the benefit of a swivel as well. That seems to work pretty good. It does not get in the way. And I would hold it in my hand like this. Yeah, see how nice and quiet that is now? This is the kind of thing you could get away with at the office, at least a little bit better than if it were stainless steel or ceramic balls. This has really deadened it, but it's still soft and it's pleasing. I like it a lot. I might put the metal ones back in though. This one works pretty good with the metal balls. But there you go. I think I've covered just about everything that I want to cover on this. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. Bye.